Welcome to the first SOLIDWORKS video, which covers how to get started in SOLIDWORKS. We won't actually do any modeling in this video, but I want you to be comfortable getting into the software, understanding how to find the tutorials, and just basically, opening different files. So if you start SOLIDWORKS, the program, you can you may see that it looks exactly like mine or it looks a little different. There are a lot of ways to customize your displays in SOLIDWORKS. So by default, you have this toolbar up here. One of the things that I like to check after I've turned on SOLIDWORKS, for example, if you've had a whole lot of pop-ups, maybe Microsoft Access came up, you might have add-ins turned on. So I personally use SOLIDWORKS Motion a lot and it doesn't slow my computer down, so I often have that turned on. We're not going to be using that in Design 1, so if that's why you're using SOLIDWORKS, you can go ahead and turn that off. The check mark on the left is what's active. The check mark on the right is what turns on every time you log into SOLIDWORKS. So if you open SOLIDWORKS next time, if the check mark over here is checked, it will turn that add-in back on. I don't use much of this. The SOLIDWORKS forum is a neat learning tool that I haven't used a whole lot of recently, but you might check it out. It's a place where people can go, post questions, post solid models, post modeling success. So it's kind of a fun little community that's been very active for several years now. The one that really slows the computer down is not even loaded onto my computer, which I love, but it's called CamWorks. So under other add-ins down here, you might see CamWorks. Go ahead and turn that off in both checkboxes. That often takes more than 30 seconds to load, and that really slows your computer down. You also might decide not to have the live link for console on. Most of this stuff we're not going to use this semester. So if all you're trying to do is work in part files, create drawings, and maybe put together assemblies, most of the add-ins are not necessary. And that includes the motion that I talked about. So if you click OK, that updates your add-ins. Again, that was right under the arrow next to your gear here for add-ins. And now I'm going to just open a new document, and it brings up probably a different window than yours. So let me turn it back into the standard SOLIDWORKS window. So this is the standard SOLIDWORKS document window. We're going to talk about how to do drawings. I'll have a template available for you, but generally speaking, this is what you need to get started. You have part files, assembly files, and drawing files. And actually, there's a button right here that gets you to tutorials. And mine is actually not on my screen here. It just clicked or highlighted over here, tutorials. So wasn't quite visible on the screen, but if you were looking for tutorials, that's a quick way to get there. So I'm going to open a part file. And if I open a new part file, a couple of things I want to point out here. One thing is that you can always see what unit system you're in, and you can change it very easily from this pull-up menu. It defaults on my computer to IPS. I think that's pretty standard on campus, but if you want to be in millimeters instead of inches, by all means, switch to millimeters. For our purposes, the first unit is unit is the only one that we're particularly concerned with, that unit of length. So is it in inches? Is it in millimeters? Centimeters is an option. Meters is an option. And you can go to Edit Document Units to choose Custom Unit Systems. So pretty simple to change your units. If you want to customize your toolbars, so I always have my standard views up here because it allows me really easily to switch between any of my orthographic views as well as 3 of my projected views. I like that toolbar. I find it more intuitive than the pull down menu here. It is right on your heads up display. It's always right there. So if you find that this is intuitive enough for you, by all means use it. I like having it at a single click instead of 2. So anytime you right click up here on the menu bar, you can customize which toolbars are visible. So I always have standard views on, the task pane, the view heads up. So these are defaults. My motion manager at the bottom is usually on, but you don't necessarily need that. And there are, so for anyone who likes toolbars that are a little bit more minimal than this ribbon, there are ways to turn on, for example, your sketch toolbar, which has all of these sketching tools in a single line that I can dock on my screen. Oh, here we go. So if this is your preferred type of menu, by all means use that. Because we've had a little bit of difficulty customizing in the past, I've gotten pretty comfortable using the ribbon. So that's what I will tend to use in videos. I think that's it about customizing toolbar. Again, this is standard views, so you'll see my standard views is turned on. If you like to see your standard menu options, anytime you see a thumbtack in SolidWorks, you can pin something open. So when you hover over SolidWorks, it brings up your standard menus, and then if I pin it, it stays open. I can edit how things appear in SolidWorks, and if you have real view graphics on, you'll find that that might slow down your computer. Shadows in shaded mode can make it hard to see things sometimes, but it does make it look realistic. So these are different ways to change how much computer effort goes into creating the picture of your model. So you can always toggle these on and off. I don't tend to use perspective. We don't usually look at things in perspective mode. And then I actually haven't used ambient occlusion or cartoon. So feel free to change your settings. There are different backdrops you can try. So have some fun, explore. In the part files, you'll find all the sketching tools are on your sketch toolbar. All of your feature tools are on your features toolbar. And finally, if you want to get started with the tutorials, and I highly recommend this if you've never used any kind of solid modeling before, if you've never used Autodesk Inventor, if you've never used any structured CAD program, take a look at these tutorials. They're a really helpful way to get started and get comfortable in what CAD is. They don't take a whole lot of extra time, but they can be really helpful. Lesson 1 parts, Lesson 2 assemblies, and Lesson 3 drawings are the 3 tutorials I will list as a good starting point. So you'll notice these on the bright space. Lesson 1 parts says it takes about 30 minutes. It usually takes me 10 or 15 just to go through all their steps and click through. I open this up. So if you're feeling like you need a little extra, then start here. It gives you an overview of what you're going to do. The next is here highlighted or hyperlinked to the next page. And anytime you don't know where it's sending you for a tool, you click on it and then, it reframed my window, so you couldn't quite see that. So I click on what tool it wants me to find, and then it highlights it in my SolidWorks window. I can't find the save disk. Oh, there it is. It's giving me step-by-steps. It also gives you, for those of you who are a little bit more experienced, but you want to find out where the tools are in SolidWorks, it gives you an idea of what you're trying to do, and then it tells you step-by-step how to do it. So here it says, okay, go to Features Toolbar, and again, it was off the screen. Here we go. So go to your Features Toolbar. There's my Extrude Boss Base tool. We're going to find the sketch. Oops. So here, I'm going to find this. Oh, it wants me to go through step by step, but it would tell me exactly where all these tools are. It shows me exactly what I need to do, and then I just keep going until I finish. If you've never done CAD before, it might take you a pretty solid 30 minutes. If you've done CAD before, this is going to be quick. So it's a good way to get comfortable with the tools in SolidWorks. So that's it for getting started. That's how you open a part file. That's how you find the tutorials. That's how you customize your toolbars. Hopefully that's helpful. And in the next video, we will get right into some different areas of part files, including sketching features like extrusions and revolves, how to cut, how to make holes, and some finishing features.